Empathy is not a soft skill. It's a hard one. Developing empathy is difficult. We're not wired to walk in somebody else's shoes. We are wired to be me, 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 me. It's our honest answer to the question, why did they do what they did? Why are they saying what they're saying? So if you want to know why someone's doing what they do, start with what they know, what they believe, where they came from. Why are they wired the way they are? If you can come to know these things, you can come to make informed, conscious decisions about how you act and react with people to connect to them. Let's talk a little bit more about empathy in business. Let's talk about marketing. Oh God, we're going to have to convince people or sell people something. But this doesn't have to be dirty. It doesn't have to be disingenuous. It can be genuine instead if we use empathy. There's this very famous marketer, this guy Zig Ziglar. What Zig said was the best way to get what you want in life is to help others get what they want. And how do we get that? We use empathy. We have to figure out what do those people want. And to do that, we have to put ourselves in their shoes, because the more we understand that, the more we try to approach that and embrace that, the more we're going to understand what they want. And the clearer that understanding is, the clearer it becomes about how to create a change we want to create, sell a product, get a service. If you know what people want, you can really, really tailor what you're doing to what they need. Let's talk about creating change, because sometimes it's not just about selling a product. Sometimes it's about getting people to think a different way, right? We can change our attitude, we can change our appearance, we can upgrade our skill sets, but we only do it when we want to. So what our job is, as change makers and idea spreaders, and dare I say it, people who sell our services, is to create that want in people. And people want something when you're resonating with them, right? It is so much harder to get someone else to change their story, because it's connected to their beliefs, because it's connected to their wiring, than it is for us to shift our narrative, to converge with them, to meet them where they are, okay? This is using empathy, consciously saying, the most important thing here isn't what I believe. The most important thing here is the idea I want to spread. How can I frame this idea so that other people who aren't aware of it can easily welcome it into the way they think? But I'm going to talk a little bit about something called Singer's paradox, right? Peter Singer is a teacher and an ethicist. And he came up with this exercise where he's like, okay, imagine that on your route to work every day, you notice that a child has fallen into a pond and appears to be drowning. You understand that wading in and pulling the child out would be easy, but it's going to mean you're going to get your clothes wet and muddy, and by the time you go home and change, you will have missed work. He then asks his students, do you have any obligation to rescue the child? And of course, everybody says, yeah, I have to do that. The importance of saving a child so outweighs like being at work on time or, missing an obligation that's easy. Of course I'm going to save the child, right? And most people will say there's no excuse for not saving the child. So where's the paradox, okay? Singer found that the paradox is that when he points out if it's a moral imperative to save this child at the cost of ruining our clothes and being late, then we certainly face that imperative every day, don't we? Like, we could use PayPal right now, all of us, to send $20 somewhere in the world with certainty and save the life of a child. But we're not going to do that, right? Why won't we save the child that's 3,000 miles away from us, but we will save the child that's drowning right in front of us? What's the difference? The child is far away.
Marketing gives us two great key takeaways about Singer's paradox: close and now, and gratitude. Now, the phenomena of close and now is clear. If you're there, on the spot, to not act would actually probably garner you shame and derision. But to act is going to instantly put you in a favorable light, and this is because it's right in front of you. When something is far away, we don't feel the same impulse. What this means is that when we're trying to reach people who aren't up close and now, we have to use an even deeper application of empathy to break through this question of proximity. This is something that makes the reaching or spreading of ideas to people that are remote from you, very, very difficult. And then there's gratitude. This promise of gratitude will actually drive us to be heroic or more generous than we might otherwise be. This promise of honors and accolade runs really deep in us, and it is directly linked to this issue of proximity. What this means is that when we're negotiating a deal or we're involved in a conversation or a negotiation that's taking place over distance, these things, these impulses we have aren't at the top of our stack. What needs to be at the top of our stack is empathy.
So let's talk about empathy as it can be used in negotiation.
So the tool of empathy in negotiation is deep listening. It's about hearing the thing underneath that you need to create this alignment with, the priority, the value that is the last stand that the person you're negotiating with has in their mind. And if you can figure that out, if you can listen to hear that, you can move the discussion to a place where your values and your priorities are intersecting with theirs.
And then finally, I want to talk about empathy as reflection, using empathy on ourselves. Why is it easier? And why is it the easier an idea is to understand or comprehend, the more likely you are to believe it's true? You know, this again goes to confirmation bias. You know, if something's more closely aligned with what we already think and we can understand it and it's simply expressed, we're more likely to believe it's true. So the point of this is to understand that we have our own wiring, that we might not be seeing the world the way that the world really is, and that we can acknowledge that, right? And now we can use empathy to open ourselves up to understand what's really going on.
I hope you enjoyed this conversation from the Futur Pro Group. The Futur Pro Group is a group of creative entrepreneurs who join me weekly to have discussions about entrepreneurship, about creativity, and design. Check out the link in the description to learn how to join the Pro Group and get access to hundreds of hours of exclusive content not available anywhere else. We'll see you in the Pro Group.